Jefferson, George, and Thomas are not America's founding fathers. Listen, I'm the pimp who built this shit in trust. At every chance, I'm unzipping my pants so I can pour out my penis and piss in your mouth. I'm nasty like that. You are my puppet, and I got you held up by my strings. Keep that gun at your temple. It's simple. I'm the pimp who built this, and I put drug dealers on corners so they can make my money, and I put white collars in corner offices so they can make my money. And while you're out here doing 9 to 5, I'm working overtime to make sure the hungry never get fed, to make sure them colored kids never go to college. Keep that knowledge shit out their head. I'm bad. Lucifer ain't got a damn thing on me. I fucked myself and gave birth to slavery. You thought when they genocided Native Americans they were moving west? Motherfucker, they were moving toward me. They call me capitalism. And I slit throats with dollar signs. I'll tie the American dream around your neck and laugh while you lynch yourself for a dime. Your soul is mine. All your thoughts belong to me. I'm the reason women take off clothes and keep a pole between their legs. I'm the reason executive directors bring their work home and never work on working on their homes. My favorite color is green. My only hobby is sex, and I do one hell of a job fucking people over. I rape the rich and I ejaculate on the poor as to keep my system in check. And the rest of y'all in the middle are like toilet tissue. I wipe my ass with you. Do you understand? I am capitalism. Racism is my son. Gentrification is his sister. The jail system is my illegitimate daughter, and public schools are my badass grandkids. Can't you see? All of your oppression is related back to me. I'm the king in this bitch, and I'm so slick with this shit, I got you thinking you only work for what you need. My blood is made of envy. I breathe death into your greed. You are a slave to me. Bow down. Get this money. Sell your soul. Here's a nickel and a dime. Turn that shit into gold. Become cold, ruthless. Destroy any worthless human being you have to. You worship me because I control everything. And I know you thought the devil was bad as hell, but the motherfucker ain't got shit on me. And the more you reach for that monetary peak, you become more like me. And when poverty is thick, and a single mother has to sell her body to dick to feed her fatherless kids. Remember, America never had founding fathers. It always had me, and believe I'm the pimp who built this shit. And you? Well, you ain't nothing but my bitch. After the Civil War, many recently freed slaves took a last name like Freedman or Freeman. Others took the last name of their slave masters. Some, because they had to swiftly give a name to their newly acquired citizenship. Others, with the hopes that they may be reunited with family who have been sold or separated during the institution of slavery. My mother's maiden name is Beatty, spelled B-A-T-T-I-E. Her family is from Mississippi. My grandmother's name is Bessie Beatty. Her mother, my great-grandmother, is named Elizabeth Beatty. In 1850, during the U.S. Census, they do not list a person's property, just the names of slave owners and the count of the slaves. In Mississippi, there was a woman by the name of Elizabeth Beatty, spelled B-E-A-T-Y, who owned over 50 slaves. And I wonder if this is the cotton plantation my family roots grew from. I wonder if this is the name my ancestors placed aside their papers and fled the plantation with. Is there a magnolia tree down in Panola, Mississippi that has all of my family's blood? Williams is the most common last name for Black folks. John Williams of the Louisiana plantation owned over 218 Black people. After Williams, there's Johnson, then Smith, Jones, Brown, Jackson. Racial traumas and triggers are a formal greeting when we call our oppressor's name to introduce ourselves. When our names are a historical leash. Every time I meet a black person with the last name Beatty, I wonder if we are finally attending the family reunion. Every time I meet a white person with the last name Beatty, I wonder if they know what their family has done, what abuse has allowed them their breath. What a privilege to know which end of the whipping whip has your name on it, to know exactly what your name is attached to have a name embroidered on the bedroom door instead of the quarters. What a privilege. On the job application, at the bank, at the airport, in the emergency room. And people wonder about black names, why the names aren't shorter, why the runaway syllables aren't easier to catch, why our names chime like music when they traverse between lobes, about why we name our children after cars, after movement, after freedom, about why black names are always spelled with distinction, while black names always have a flair. It's because countries who declare independence get to name themselves, because niggas will always know reclamation. And when our names do not have your lineage, when our names are not what you expect, then what did you expect? For us to introduce ourselves, still running. For us to shake hands, still dripping the blood you drew. My father always wanted me to achieve the American dream. And so naturally, my greatest fear was becoming another statistic. That's why when people ask me about my father, a little part of me goes ballistic. See, let me be realistic. Only 37% of black kids live with both their father and mother, and all my life I only had one, so I refused to become another high school dropout, success cop out, high on drugs, in love with a thug or a teen mother. But imagine waking up one day and your daddy was gone, like he didn't come home. You couldn't reach him on the phone, and your mother cried tears because she didn't want to raise y'all alone. And they say sticks and stones can break your bones, but let me tell you, growing up never knowing your father can kill you. So until you understand my pain, let me explain that my father was not just another fucking statistic. He didn't get killed by no gun. He didn't sell drugs or commit no crime. He wasn't locked up doing time behind bars in jail. He didn't say to hell with his family and walk out on my mother. Hell, he bought us the house we lived in, so I knew that he loved her. He wasn't on no domestic violent type shit. He wasn't on no cheat and remain silent type shit. No, my father was an immigrant. So he got reported on that shit, was kicked out of this country on that deported type shit. So imagine my little brother, 3.5, who didn't have a clue but was afraid to go to bed because he thought his mother would be gone too. And you imagine being a boy without a father in the ghetto. Strings cut like Pinocchio without Geppetto. The bad influences clean like the water and the metal, and the bills picked up, so we fell below the poverty line. The bills picked up, so my mother fell behind. The bills picked up, so my mother picked up 2 jobs, and she's been working them ever since. She was convinced that we would make it, then would receive long-distance calls and refuse to take it because her heart was breaking. My daddy got shipped back to Nigeria. So my heart still aches for the green, white, green. Fuck your red, white, and blue. Makbai, Jue, and Kilo, we are the only Yoruba sentences I knew. I grew up without a daddy because my daddy was an immigrant. Reason number 54 why I hate the government. Fuck your land of the brave and your home of the free. You motherfuckers took my daddy from me, and yeah, we still talk like once a week, and I listen as he holds back tears, apologizing for the decades he has missed. Tells me how he wished he could have kissed me goodnight. Tells me how he begged and pleaded with him to let him stay, but how he's proud anyway because I graduated a couple of Mays ago. So fuck your statistics, I'm optimistic. I picked up the pieces of a broken dream because it seemed to demean my father's worth. Kicked my daddy out of this country. They treated my father like dirt, but listen to my words because this is what it's worth. Fuck the American dream. because I'm fulfilling his. Had my parents not been separated after my father's traffic stop, arrest, and deportation from the United States of America, we might all be sitting about the pink kitchen table with the white legs. My father, a taxi driver, might have come home late in the evening with 2 large chuck steaks, bloodied red, fresh, best he could bring. He might have seasoned the meat, his thick brown hands gently letting loose salt how God did earth. He might lay a sheet of cayenne over the flesh, a homeland conquered by sun, a fire gouged between cheeks, eyes watering, a flag of surrender. My father might have survived the night to serve us. My father, with his skin shiny, his head smooth, might have built me a treehouse in the front yard with tools from his orange metal box. And my mother, sharp, discerning, the quiet keeper of sacred emblems like our family's marrow, might have never let me climb in that treehouse because, as it were, gunshots littered our streets the way the dead plagued a hospital. Had my father not been deported, he and my mother might have had another child. It's likely they'd build a new back porch and have a garden with peppers, just like our neighbor Ronnie. My mother might grow a row of cabbage, all green and light, tight and bald like fists. It'd be a Wednesday, and my father, my brother, and I might whisk our bikes down Lakeshore Drive, or pitch a tent in the backyard, or watch Terminator, or the movies where Eddie Murphy played a cop from Beverly Hills. My father may have been filled with enough cracks in his face to cause an earthquake of laughter to ripple through our home. One dusk, with light gleaming in from our living room windows, I imagine he might step into one of my mother's bright silk dresses, the purple one. He squeezed his feet into her pumps and pranced around the house he bought her as a gift years before. My mother might have giggled at my father's silliness, and he may have sauntered over to her with his palm down and his wrist bent as though he was expecting to have his hand captured by a long-awaited love. My mother might have said something like, "Man, if you don't take off my good dress, you finna buy me another one." And my mother might have not really been mad. And you could tell by how she cocked her neck back into the side, alabaster gleaming a curve into her face. She might have smiled through the threat, and my father might have held her around the waist with one arm and pulled her into his chest, how I do the woman I love when I miss her so much it aches. And my parents may have kissed, maybe on the lips, and my father, fool, may have reached his hand to my mother's string of beads, removed it, and placed the necklace over his own head to lay along his chest. Her earrings may have danced from his lobe, and my father, a man who gave like a tree, might have lined his fingers over my mother's tombed heart and swayed his hips to its cadence. So, my mother is a drinking gourd. She is a runaway slave along a shore. My mother is a still river. Her folks from Mississippi, but she bred black south side of Chicago in the 70s. My mother is Great Migration. She got a gambler for a father and a rifle for a mother. My mother is associate's degree in early childhood education. It's 3 credits short from a BA. It's food stuck in vending machine. My mama still ain't got what she paid for. It's all curse out the clerk at the cashier counter. It's all, I guess y'all are gonna have to work something out because I'm not about to pay for that. My mother is the difference between ghetto and hood. It's a rumor cell, not a thrift store. My mother is a Christian. It's church going. It's leave church early, don't sing in the choir no more because things seem shady behind the pulpit. My mother is 2 jobs and an empty piggy bank. It's Section 8 for retirement plan. It's no savings account, no trust fund, no money to the 15th of the month. My mother is machete for speech. It's too smart to be killed or followed. My mother is a blade in a back pocket. It's a loud joke in a jukebox. Ha ha, my mother is an oxymoron. It's homophobic with a strap on for a daughter. My mother is the strong black woman behind every disappearing, vanishing, missing, murdered, dead black man. My mother is an open casket. It's meant to hold bodies. It's a vacant lot next to a boarded up home. My mother is home. It's sanctuary. It's God. It's how black don't crack. My mother's spine don't bend. My mother is still. My mother is a steel bullet, a loaded shotgun, waiting. The music peeled back the air as the ivory Chrysler swerved and jolted into a spot behind my mother's parked Toyota. He gets out the car, slams the door, say, "Shawty, you thick as hell. I know you out here belonging to somebody looking like how you look." My sister, skin dark and glittering like oil sheen on black pressed hair, arches into a smile. He strides over as if the center of him is being pulled toward the gravel by a slow song or a sweet spirit. His shorts are low to his ankles. His sweater is large with Coogee spread across it like love on clean sheets. I bend my head under and out the window, fastened on my older sister. Her knuckles shining on her hips, nails neon and glowing to say, "Why? You trying to bag?" She eyeing his car like it's a slice of cake frosted in a pink swirl dress. My sister drags her tongue along her lilied lips, grabs the stranger's palm and scriptures her digits. He go into a backward twirl and strolls towards his car. She takes the pump out and closes the cap. Me curious and peering, seeing a God summon a man. He drives, stops, reverses as though he forgot his house keys or his wallet or something that belonged to him. He says, "Hey, pretty girl, what they call you?" My sister, a hurricane to a puddle, the North Star niggas follow, say, "Patrice." Some mornings I wake and I am most like my mother. A wide mouth daring light to flicker before I shine. Other mornings, I am like my father, a shadow cast black as American soil and as frequently uprooted. I don't often tell this story of the white mahogany tree who fell madly in love with the sun. The day they met in a closed field and couldn't stop giving to one another. The tree carved the sun a home, and the sun fetched light and warmth. I do not tell this story often, of the offspring they fashioned from love, of the boy child, both waving branch and wild breeze, of the girl child, both splendor and flame, of the narrator who feverishly weaves this fable. No, it is not often that I tell this story of the traffic stop and arrest, of the pat down and immigration lawyer, of the vows and home splintered. Beloved reader, at the end of this story, the tree never even gets to say goodbye. Darling listener, at the end of this tale, the sun refuses to bask in its glow. Once upon a time, there was earth and sky, and white men declared them as countries. And white men said some trees should not receive shine from some suns, and so my father was deported. I do not tell this story often, of the place leaves voyage to when God plans their fall, while the stars set themselves on fire just so we may follow, of where the river is running to, nor of why the willows weep. I do not recount this memory, O wretched witness, of the laws that rule this hand with a steel hold, of the land that unearthed my family, of the home palpable in memory alone. Some mornings I wake and I am a burning mahogany. And what I mean is there are days I am engulfed. Other mornings I wake and I am most like the horizon, a meeting of cosmos and clay, a stretching across of bodies. Beholder of this tale, do you see now how anguish keeps me from speaking this story? Do you understand now where the sun whisks to at night? Why she whispers a song only the green know, while the orchards all grow limbs reaching toward the sky. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for